Welcome everybody watching from their phones and their homes. We're sitting down here today with Tom Ellsworth, aka the Biz Doc. And before I turn it over to him, I gotta tell you this man's bio and why you need to watch this episode. So Tom Ellsworth, the Biz Doc, he started with Jam Dad, which ended up selling to EA Sports for I believe $680 million. That's about right. So in your day, you've done over $1 billion worth of sales of businesses. Correct me if I'm wrong on that number.
That's right.
Maybe even more. You end up meeting Patrick Bet-David. You end up becoming the president of PHP. As if business wasn't enough, you said, let me just do some content creation. He ends up doing case studies on Valuetainment. That blows up. So you might be familiar with all the case studies that he does on Valuetainment. And to quote the Biz Doc from an interview he did with Patrick Bet-David a few years back, he said he is absolutely hooked on early stage companies doing something big, and he loves taking great ideas, disrupting industries, and just going for it. Tom Ellsworth, the Biz Doc, welcome to the show.
All we talk is money. All we talk is money. All we talk is money. All we talk is money.
It is great to be here, Adam. Boy, you have had your coffee and 8 hours of sleep, I see.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I mean, sitting down with the Biz Doc, I'm excited to learn.
Wow, I'm excited to talk to you because I know you've been giving people, I've been watching your stuff, and you've been giving really cool messages to people about just financial disciplines and just good strategic thought behind every time you spend a dollar and what you're thinking about. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you why. I mean, this is interesting because I've never really started and ran a successful business. So I'm sort of, my expertise is personal finance. That's where my niche is. If you make 50 grand, 100 grand, 250 grand, my expertise is telling you what to do with that money. Your expertise is helping people go from A to Z starting a business, is it not?
Yeah, it is. But there's a lot of similarities there. You brought up an interesting point because if you're showing people how to be good, sane, disciplined, and smart with their money, save that money. I know you're always talking about that. Whatever they do in their personal life, I've seen the investment. That's how their mind works when they start running their first business. So if it was okay to run up a credit card here, then it's okay to run up an American Express card when they're trying to start the business and then have to pass the hat around their business partners to pay that off. You'd be surprised. They don't walk in the door to start a business and suddenly become sane again. So everything you're teaching people, if you're out there and you're going to go start a business or something, what you're teaching them is beautiful. So they have to carry that over because you have to have the same mindset even more because every dollar is so precious when you're starting a business.
I love that. So there's a direct correlation between your personal finance to your business finance, and you can't be poor at one and try to be successful in another area. Is that right?
Smart, conservative, shrewd, clever, you know, spendy, you know, in debt. It follows. One follows the other.
Good to know. So
is it a surprise? Is it really a surprise?
I'm actually not surprised, but I've never actually heard anybody put it like that. Like this directly correlates with that. It's good for you to put some linkage right there.
You know, not everybody goes and gets $2 million from a venture capitalist where they can be a little looser with it. Oh, we got $2 million in the bank. That's not how most small businesses are built in America. Most small businesses are built in America with less than $50,000 of an individual entrepreneur that wants to go do something. And so that's a whole different stack of money between, we got $1 million, you know, in seed money. Venture capitalist thinks it's a good idea. They've got us connected to other people that can give us investment. No. You know, the most businesses are start right there, 50 grand, friends and family, 20 grand in their pocket, 10 grand with a friend, another 20 grand from mom. And that's how a lot of small businesses are started. So if you're not sane with that, whoosh, it's gone. And you can't go back to those people for another 10, another 20, another 30. They don't have it. They're betting on you. That cliff is right there. So everything you're teaching is phenomenal because you're teaching people things that if they go start that business, it's going to serve them well.
Awesome. Well, you guys just got a good little sample of some of the stuff we're going to discuss with the Biz Doc today. But I have an idea.
Oh.
Before we kind of go, you know, we're just getting started. Before we kind of go down this entire business, you know, starting a business, starting a company, getting entrepreneur, I feel like we should maybe have a little fun as well. I heard you like to have a little fun.
I do like that fun. And by the way, I love your fun backdrop. You know
Thank
what I
you.
like about this?
Yes.
He grew up here. This is
This is me. This is my hometown.
I asked him what was the significance. He's telling me about a building where he lived. He's telling me places where that you and friends went and you partied, and that this is your hometown. To people, it may be a beautiful picture postcard of Miami, but this is home.
This is home. And what's funny is, as much as I love this, this is nightlife. This was my former life. Nightlife, going out in the clubs. Ironically, I had to get out of that life and get into the business world so I could actually get my shit together, in my life. So this reminds me where I came from, but this isn't exactly where I get business done. This is social. This is fun.
So it's a double reminder. It's
So
where
now,
I came
speaking of social, speaking of fun, here's what I got for you. I hear you like to have some fun, and I hear you ain't scared to drink a beer or two. So I also heard that your favorite beer is none other than Blue Moon, baby.
I wonder what you're pulling out here.
I'm pulling stuff. There's going to be some more surprises right there. So I think before we get this interview started, let's get a beer going.
They're cold.
And they're cold. They got a freezer in here, baby. So I think we start with one beer. Let's put these away.
Oh, this isn't a gift. This is a beverage.
This is a cold beverage. You'll notice that you have an empty glass.
That's very cool.
What I recommend is we pour it in there.
The easy twist of Blue Moon.
Easy twist of a Blue Moon.
By the way, here's
this episode is not sponsored by Blue Moon, but it could be.
Hold half of it in your. Let me show you something.
Yeah.
This is the easy way to do it because Blue Moon is an unfiltered wheat.
Okay.
So then you take this and you got to get all that beautiful off the bottom.
All right. So you take half of it.
And you hold up to the light.
I just spilled some out for the homies. I'm sorry about that. What are you doing right there?
Gassing it. So now when I take my thumb off, it doesn't explode all over your desk.
Interesting. Let me get us a napkin.
So there's not only business tips, there's also great beer tips.
This is great. This is great. Cheers to the Biz Doc.
Cheers to you. This is great. I thought you were about to hand me a six-pack. This is actually going to make the interview better.
We might, depending on this interview goes, we might finish the six-pack. And I ain't no rookie. I know that Blue Moon is best with a little orange.
Yeah, that's right.
So
and by the way, it doesn't
we're balling on a budget over here. We didn't have a sharp knife in the kitchen. So we have a...
I kind of like that because it means you're not spending money on big knife drops.
So we got more oranges that'll be under here, under the table.
Oh wow, that is wonderful.
And now we're drinking brewskis.
Hey, you know what you call it now?
Yeah.
This is SOS Money Talks, but now this is a special segment called A Beer in Business.
A Beer in Business. I like it. Let me see if my jump shot's okay. All right, I missed. All right, here we go. We're ready to have some fun. Thank you to everyone watching. We're here with the Biz Doc, and we're going to jump right into it. So we started with your bio. We know where you came from. You're hooked on early stage companies doing something big. And anytime you're starting a company, it all starts with usually one person, and that person is usually an entrepreneur. Is it not?
Yep, or they've decided they're going to take the risk and be one.
You're going to take the risk to be one. So my first question to you is...
Entrepreneurs are not born, they're made. They're made with the decision to go.
Talk about a great segue right there. Entrepreneurs are not born, they're made. So talk about the best qualities of an entrepreneur, meaning what does it take to become an entrepreneur? And then also some of the downside that you see of becoming, everyone thinking, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm making all this money, I'm raising all this capital. What they don't see are the sleepless nights, the long days, the rejections. I think Patrick Bet-David, our CEO, did it best in his video, The Life of an Entrepreneur.
Oh my gosh.
So tell us about that lifestyle and what it means to be an entrepreneur.
So let's break this into two halves. And the first thing let's talk about attributes. The first attributes that I've consistently seen is, and these are not in any particular order, and I'm not making a pie chart to say it's half of this, half of that, but you start with creativity. They have a creative solution to build a product in a certain market to do something. And they have to be dedicated to that from a business standpoint. I once heard it said that there is a banker that said, I love to do small business loans, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000. And whenever I ask somebody, they say, well, I'm following my passion. I never loan them the money. I only loan them the money if, well, I have an idea for this that I'm passionate about, and it's going to do this and this and this, and this is how I make money, and this is where the profit comes from. If all goes well, that's what I'm doing. And he says, I lend money to those people that are passionate about a fully thought out creative idea, not just people that said, I've always loved kites, And so now I'm going to build the best, most wonderful kite in the world and sell it to people. He said, I don't invest in that. I invest in people that said, you know, I was watching this for a long time. I was observing this, and I got this idea. It's going to work like this. I need about 4 people. I'm pretty passionate about this idea. There's a whole different there, you see. So creativity, passion, and absolute stick-to-itiveness. You know, my daughter plays soccer, and my other daughter plays golf. The daughter that plays golf, in golf you can be your own worst enemy. You miss a putt. You hit one into the water. You hit one into the sand. You know, you hit one into the rough, and the grass is this tall, and you got to get out. But you got to keep playing, because the game's not over just because you have a tough shot. Both of my daughters, and I hope they get it from me, stick with it. My other daughter is actually small for her age, and but she's an August birthday. So what do you know about that? All the kids in her class, except 1 or 2, are almost a year older than her. Because all the kids with the August birthdays, they went to kindergarten right then. And everybody else with a September birthday, they said, no, you're next year. And so she's out there playing soccer, and she's a little bit smaller than the other ones, but she gets knocked down, she gets right back up. She gets pushed by the big girls. They're all lining up for a throw-in. They're bumping her at the shoulder. She's bumping back. She won't give up. And she's become a great defender. Those are things I bring up my kids only to say that when you're looking to get in business with somebody and you're looking to work with somebody, are they creative? Do they stick to it? And where can you see other times in their life that they just don't give up? Because being an entrepreneur is not having an idea and then going over here and over here and over here and over here. It's like, okay, we have an idea to build this product in this market. And are you in? I'm in. Are you in? I'm in. And you're all going to stick with it together and be thrifty and be focused and drive it. Just like the smallest kid on the soccer field getting knocked down, or a golfer playing on a high school golf team, learning the game and hitting the bad shots, but having to get right back up and hit another shot, because the game of golf is not about one shot. It's about a bunch of shots. And so those are the few things that I look in people. I ask them, hey, what things do you never give up at? Well, besides the business, yeah, just in life. What do you never give up at? And they tell, every entrepreneur has told me some stories that told me about them. You know what? I fell in love with my wife when we were a sophomore in high school, and we didn't even date in high school. As a matter of fact, she went to the prom with the older brother of one of my friend's friends. But we both went to the same college, and as freshmen, you know, we started dating, and now we're married and all this. And I'm like, I love those stories, because it says I don't give up, and I'm sensible about it. So those are the attributes that I look for in people.
So a lot of that stick-to-itness.
Yeah.
Is that even a real word, or is that something? Because I've heard that before.
It is now.
It is now, baby.
Put
the
it on.
Biz Doc.
All right, put it on the screen. Stick-to-itness. It's a save the money. No, it's a stick-to-itness is now a...
I love that word.
Not stick-to-itiveness, but stick-to-itness.
So that's what you're looking for in an entrepreneur. If you're going to invest in them, or if you're going to sort of break down the nuclear breakdown of an entrepreneur.
Or if I'm going to spend 3 days and give them advice for free because I love their passion, I love who they are, and I'm just going to give my time to them and try to help them in any way I can.
But passion alone...
I want to make sure who I'm helping.
But passion alone isn't enough, from what I heard from you.
Absolutely.
Passion is great. It's an element of starting a business. But if you're starting that kite business and you're like, I just love kites, that alone isn't going to do it. Do you have the stick-to-itiveness? Do you have the business plan? Do you have the business model? Have you thought it out? Where are you going to get the money from? It's not. It's more than passion. But passion is a key ingredient. Is
Absolutely.
it not? Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
So you know a little bit about real estate. You know a little bit about rentals. Okay, you do. So 2 guys in front of you. Not guys, 2 people, 2 individuals in front of you. Because nowadays they can invent one of 7 genders. So it's 2 individuals in front of you. And one of them says, I really don't want to work more. I like to have rental housing so I could do this and this and this. And, you know, I've always wished I could have a little supplemental income. The other person says, you know what? At my business, 3 people that come to work for the company were asking me where to live, and I was telling them they want to live closer to this good school, but they don't have the money over there to put a down payment for those houses. And I said, why don't you rent something? And they're giving me a whole thing like this, and it led me to thinking, well, why don't I own the houses near a good school district where there's also good jobs, maybe where people are going to need that rental housing, and maybe it's interesting. Which guy would you say I'll help you. You know what? I'll put $100 in with your down payment and I'll share your rental income. Which one? The one that's got thought out and is very passionate about helping people in the neighborhood, understand school districts, or the other one that just wishes he had some supplemental income because they don't want to be working for the man anymore.
Right. Clearly option B, because it's a well thought out plan. There's a lot more to it. There's some stick-to-itness there.
Have you seen people like that? Like in real estate? When
I've seen both.
People? Exactly. Exactly. Guess what? Ta-da.
That's actually an awesome segue to my next question.
Same rules apply, Adam. It's the same thing you're doing.
Love that. So my question to you actually was, when you're starting a business, what's more important, or what's the breakdown of just going after the money versus building a great company? Kind of like the example you just gave. Some guys, I just want some residual income, and someone was like, well, actually, I have some people that work for me, and this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
and
I've looked at this. I think right here would be a great place. I think I'm going to do it like this.
So give me that answer, going after the money versus building a great company. And then part B to that is, if you're going to go to work, talk about young people out there, or just people in between jobs, going to work at a startup or joining a startup, or working for a big established company. So two questions right there: going after the money versus building a great company, and being a part of a startup, and versus going after a bigger company to work for. What are your thoughts?
So let's start with building a great company. The one piece of advice I give everybody building a great company is the disciplines you show, they follow. They do what you do. And so if you're wheeling up in a leased Mercedes or a leased BMW, Miami, everybody wants a convertible M3, right?
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, that's exactly. So everybody is like, I can squeeze into an $800 lease. $800 lease.
Yeah.
So you're going to go in with a friend, pay $1,500 rent and $800 lease. Really? That's what you're going to do. And then you're peeking out the window all night because you don't have a garage. You're worried about your car. So isn't that true? Completely true. They come out in the morning. Oh no, what happened? You got robbed. So basically it goes like this. Everything that what you do, they will do. So the first thing is you got to build the good disciplines in. And if you're showing up in a a leased car, and you're showing up with, these elements, then your team's going to look at that. But if you're showing up and you're very thrifty, and you don't have to be driving, a 2002 Camry with 3 wheels, by the way, I had one.
With 3 wheels?
Well, but then...
Not fourth wheel was questionable. But go on, you're flowing.
The 4th wheel was on loan. When you're broke, you're broke. When you're building the business, do I put new tires in the back of the car, or do I, back in the day, or do I get a fax machine? You get the fax machine. It's like that's it. There's no choice about it. So you look at that and you say to yourself, okay, everything that you show, all your employees are going to follow. So being thrifty, and if you care about the employees, they'll care about the next person they hire. And if you used to have a thing that said, the most expensive piece of furniture we own is our chair. Why? Because you're going to be sitting in it. Because we want you to be comfortable sitting there. We want you to be able to work. Now the desk may be like Amazon, a door with 2 sawhorses, which is the story of Amazon. But I totally buy off on that, right? So people walk in and say, wow, the nicest place in here is the chairs. And it says, yeah, because the most valuable asset we have is our employees, and they're going to be sitting in them. Now, they're not $1,000 chairs, but people took the time to say, look, I'm spending money on chairs. We're obviously not spending money on paint, decorations, private offices, and desks. We're here to just...
We want your ass to be comfortable because we want you working.
You know what? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So everything you show, they're going to be there. So when you start the business, you be thrifty. You could build a culture that cares about the employees, that they completely buy into your vision of what you're doing. And you don't have to be in a really cool place. It just has to be a cool place to work. You see the difference? It doesn't have to be a really cool place, but it does have to be a cool place for work. And they'll be telling their friends, having a beer, hey, I work at this really cool place. It's really funny. My chair is like brand new. Yeah, nothing else in the place is new. Yeah. But it's like coolest thing and coolest people to get involved with. And I say step 1, you're establishing your culture, you're establishing the habits for the people you're going to work with. And I believe that's where it all starts. And then they will be careful about what they spend. And they will care about the people that work there. There's a lot of basics that go into that, because you're the one that's going to say, this is the product, and this is what we're doing, and this is how we're going to sell it. Everything else, you're bringing culture and you're creating culture on day one.
I'm hearing leadership and I'm hearing culture and the trickle-down effect from the leader.
And caring about your people so that they, you know, you say, this is what I can afford to pay you. And they work at, suddenly you see them, they leave at 6:30 or 7.
So
and you're like, why are you still here at 6:30 or 7? I love it that you're here.
And when you're starting a business,
I bought in.
When you're starting a business, to answer specifically, how important is I want to make money? I just want to make money versus I want to build a beautiful, great company. Like, is it 100% you have to be all about the business, or you can say, dude, I just want to make some damn money here? What's that balance?
If you just want to make money, go get your MBA and go work for a financial services company.
So that's kind of like...
Honestly, if you just want to make money and you think having your own business means I don't have to have a boss, I don't have to do this, and I just want to make money, no. Go get an MBA and work for a financial services firm. You know, you'll make some money, you'll have a really good career if you're smart and, you know, you're respectful and you know how to, you know, cultivate clients, things like that. Just go do that. You know?
What's the flip side to that?
Because the flip side to that is, you know, you build a great company and you get behind the product you're doing and you really make it come to life, the money will follow. But as most entrepreneurs like to say is, people interview me and they want to talk about my cars, they want to talk about my house. And musicians have said this, and actors and actresses have said this, and entrepreneurs have said this. And it's like, dude, you should have known me 10 years ago. You make it sound like I'm an overnight sensation. I'm an overnight sensation 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
You know, my overnight sensation started when I left a company. I had $50,000, as I described, and I started my business with an idea about a product. And I got people to get in with me, and I cared about them and built the culture of the company. And then they work for me and they work hard. And he's still there, and she's still there, and she's still there, and he's still there. And they're still here together. And I'm rewarding them handsomely now that we've made it. You know, that's what the journey is about. Entrepreneurship is not having the money to buy the things at the end. It's about the satisfaction of the journey from the moment you said, this is what I'm doing.
Love that. So let's get into starting a business, right? So let's kind of unpack it. So maybe there's people out there that have already started a business and they're watching it and saying, all right, let me get some tips from the Biz Doc. And maybe there's people that haven't even started a business yet and say, you know, I've been thinking about quitting my job, maybe not quitting my job. I've been thinking about starting this new business. So let's kind of start, let's kind of start from rookie mode and then kind of work our way up into more expertise in that. So if you're starting a business, give me step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, if you can. Like, do you have to have a business plan? Do you have to have a business model in place? Do you have to, you know what to expect when you start to raising capital? You know, I just kind of asked you a lot right there, but give me like the step 1, step 2, step 3 when you're going to start a new business.
Step 1 is usually you have really well thought out a product. You've really well thought out a product, and you're already maybe kind of doing it. There's service business and there's product business. So service businesses could be you're a web designer, you're working for somebody, and you realize, wow, you know, I really think I have a knack here, and I'd like to build my own agency, and I'm just going to step out and do it. Well, you can't steal their clients, but the point is, you've got this idea, and you have a plan. And I say for anyone, if you want to go start a business because of money, don't do it. If you want to go start a business because you think this would be fulfilling, you could think you could do a little better, you think of an idea for a better service, a better product, a little bit better, a little bit different, and you see an opportunity, go do it. You know, find a way to do it. Now, if you're $50,000 in credit card debt, you can't step out and do that. Because number one is, I think you should have at least, you know, for a small business and a small jump, at least 6 months, you know, living expenses for yourself set aside. And by the way, that's short. So I'm giving you the shortest
You're
possible.
saying at minimum.
The minimum would be to have 6, and then to try it for 6 months, especially if it's something that's turnkey. Like, hey, I'm gonna step out, I'm gonna resign, leave their clients alone. I'm gonna go over here, get my own clients, have my own web development firm. You can find out whether you're gonna make it or not in, say, 6 months. Not whether you're going to be this big, but whether it's going to make it enough that you're going to earn a living. And you're
That's why I talk about the importance of having an emergency fund or a cushion or a rainy day fund of at least 6 months. So I just did an episode called The Importance of Saving 10 grand. And I get that some people maybe need a little bit less. Some people definitely need a lot more. But that's why I kind of said the importance of 10 grand, because without that, you have no cushion. How are you going to start a business?
Exactly. And I'll, can I plug a book?
Plug a book.
Okay, plug a book. 4-Hour Work Week. The 4-Hour Work Week. Yes, exactly right. You know, the 4-Hour Work Week, he talks all about how to live as lean as possible. And so having a lean living life helps you run a lean business, right? So that's important. And the other book that I would look at, honestly, and I think it's the best book on the topic, and it's not because I know him, it's not because I work with him, it's not because I'm making content on Valuetainment, but it's Your Next 5 Moves. Because it teaches you the mental discipline of the planning process. And if you take the super, you know, low-cost living that Tim Ferriss talks about, and couple that to your next 5 moves, you know, that's really where you be when it's time to start a business with a little bit of money to say, hey, if this doesn't work out. Now remember, I said 6 months about that web design business, because if it doesn't work out in 4 months, 5 months, what can you do? Go back to work for somebody else's web design business. You're not like this unicorn looking for the land of unicorn because it's the only place you could make a buck and live. So
it's this was not planned, this segue, but I was going to ask it anyway, and you kind of beat me to it. So your next 5 moves, here's what I got for you, because we're drinking beer, and at some point, that's not the gift. At some point, if you're getting a little hungry because we're drinking beer, and you want to have a little snack, I got a little Chessman. Because we're playing chess, your next 5 moves, and you said, here's a free plug for Pepperidge Farm. This is a Chessman. I think you can bust that open.
You know, I wasn't thinking about that, but
yes, but you've said in an interview, because we're kind of all over the topic, we're drinking beer, we're having fun here. You've said, I think even specifically in your latest board episode, your latest case study, you said Disney, and I have a question on that, but Disney was playing chess, not checkers. And I said, oh.
About Hulu and about how
Hulu.
They went from a major partnership to owning the whole damn thing.
So I said,
over several years.
Of course. And I got some questions on that. Believe me, we're going to get there.
Mickey knows how to play chess, and Mickey knows how to do business.
Mickey Mouse we're talking about. But
the House of Mouse.
You kind of said a great book would be Patrick Bet-David's Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Your Next 5 Moves. And then which was all about knowing your next 5 moves, like a chess player knows their next 5, 10, 15 moves, hence the chess set. I said, look, let's get some Chessman snacks. But what does that mean, actually, in the business world? I'm going to open these up. What does that mean in the business world, playing chess, not checkers?
Well, chess requires you to make 3 evaluations. The first evaluation that you make is where you are. The second evaluation you make is what you think your opponent potentially can do with the weaknesses of where you are. And the third evaluation is, what is my strategy against all that? So where are we? What could they be doing? And my plan. And then my plan is, you start cycling through, well, if I do this, what could they be doing? Do this, what they could be doing. Whereas checkers, you know, you move at 1 and then you jump. And, you know, people said there's a lot of strategy in checkers, there's a lot of strategy in backgammon. It's not just the dice. That's true, but the metaphor stands because in chess, all the pieces move a little differently. That's just like business. Marketing is a little different from finance. Finance is a little different from, you know, developing software. Developing software is a little bit different from selling software, blah, blah, blah. And so I think chess stands that, you know, in your business, you have to know how all the pieces move. You have to know how the customer moves. You have to know how your people move and how you move to make product. And so I just think it's a really accurate metaphor that, you know, when it's your own business, every day you got to get up thinking. You know, you got to get up wondering. You got not thinking about changing directions. Maybe make it blue. Maybe make it red. Maybe make it yellow. No. You got to have some discipline to stay on path. Change when you need to, but you have to discipline to stay on path because you're on that path for a reason. And so, thinking about...
You want a Chessman?
What are they?
I don't know, but I saw Chessman. I said that'd be great with the beer.
Great.
We're playing chess
So it's
here.
probably sugar and beer. And
sugar and beer. We're having a good time here.
Probably
but shout out to
probably
Pat.
the most horrible taste in the world. Let's say. Oh, it's just a standard cookie.
Was Pepperidge Farm playing chess or checkers when they made that cookie?
I think the Pepperidge Farm, man, that company plays chess.
They play chess. They're a recognizable name. Something that Pat always brings up, he brought it up in his next 5 moves, something that you've said is the difference between being a number 1 versus being a number 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, go down the list. So what does that mean? So are you a CEO? Like I'm looking at the camera right here talking to people. Are you a CEO? Are you more of a number 2? Are you more of a CFO? Are you more of the CMO? Are you more of the CRO, the Chief Resource Officer, the CIO? Not everyone is cut out to be the CEO and founder of a business.
That's true.
So I think you've even said, you know what, any business that I've started where I was the number 1 didn't necessarily work out so well. But when I was the number 3, man, that business sold for $700 million. So what does that mean exactly? And you know, for the people out there, maybe should they focus on not being the number 1? Should they focus on being the number 1? Should they hire a number 1? Are they better as the number 2? What does that all mean? Break that down.
Right. Well, there's a couple of things there. So my personal experience, I discovered where I was really, really good, and I discovered where, you know, I probably shouldn't play, and I also discovered, you know, how all the chairs felt. So first of all, I've been a founder. I've been a CEO of a company I founded. We did okay for about 3 years. It was in digital publishing, helping authors get all their old books onto Amazon Kindle and Barnes & Noble Nook and all that. Amazon sucked the air out of the room, so kind of got our ass handed to us by
You went head to head with Bezos.
No, not really head to head with Bezos, but just things that were happening where Amazon was extending its arms to iterate beyond just being a retailer selling you the ebooks on a Kindle or on a Kindle app or something, and they were really reaching in to be a publisher, and they hired publishing resources which were not present previously, and so that kind of sucked. But we subsequently sold the book list to, there was a spin out of HarperCollins, an executive left HarperCollins, created a very interesting kind of a book agency book list in New York, sold it to her and her company, and you know, and that was that. But I learned a lot of things there, and one of the things I learned is that I think one of my gifts is I understand operations. I also understand CEOs. So I can sit with the CEO unthreateningly and say, you know, you're probably feeling this, feeling that, feeling this, feeling that. Yeah, that is how I'm feeling. And I said, okay, well, operationally, what about this, this, and this? And so I line all these things up and I share all the stuff that's going on. And I found out that I thought, and that's kind of where the Biz Doc comes from, where I have, I think, just really exceptional kind of strategy and COO chops and president chops. Would I be the founder of a company again and CEO? Probably. You know, I've got thoughts and ideas. Right now, it's a privilege to be working with Patrick again on PHP. There's a lot that's going on there. He has a huge vision that he's unwavered, and I understand what he needs for scale, and I understand what he wants to be working on to get the most value out of it. And so that's the last point. Know how you can help the company build value. And if you're a salesperson and you could be the chief revenue officer, and you know that's the biggest path to adding value, when you realize that, tell people, you know, say, look, this is where I think, this is the chair I think I'm in really well. Most people want to be CEO or president for the money because they want to get paid. I point out to people, get paid a little less, get some equity in the business, and, you know, deliver the value, because now you can get paid 8, 10 times in equity value what you might have earned in salary and bonus over 5 frickin' years.
Yeah.
If you got named, you know, president or COO. And I look at that and it just kind of flipped me out, you know, that most people make decisions because they want the coin, not because they know exactly who they are and where they add the most value.
So something that Pat has coined, obviously entrepreneurship, if you put it in YouTube or Google and you put in entrepreneur, valuetainment pops right up. But something else he's coined is...
He owns the word.
He owns the word. We own the word, valuetainment. But something else I've never heard this term before, and this is where I've made sort of my niche in my business, is being an intrapreneur. So not everybody wants to risk the capital and go through all the heartaches of being an entrepreneur, but you can kind of be the number 2 or the number 4 or the number 6, whatever it is, and be an intrapreneur and be the CRO or be the CMO. What qualifications or qualities does it take to be a good intrapreneur versus the number 1 guy or gal entrepreneur?
I think, you know, there's special qualities that come of people that are willing to go out and just put it all on the line and do it. There's real special qualities. I think those people that are creative, man, you're asking a really good question, and you kind of got me here a little bit. Because
is it the question or is it the beer that's throwing you off?
Oh no, I think I need more beer to really actually to synthesize this.
Well, we have another 4 beers sitting down there in the cooler down here.
That's great. Intrapreneur versus entrepreneur. That's a really great question, Adam. You know, intrapreneurs, meaning people that are creative and are building from within an organization. I think you just have to know who you are, and the best way to know who you are is to connect yourself with people that will tell you the truth. And the way you can identify that is, do you have a person in your life, maybe your brother, maybe your sister, maybe a guy you know, a girl you know, that always gave you good advice about relationship? In other words, this wasn't a person you were going to be in a relationship with. This was a good friend, whether it was female and she's already married and you're a guy, or if you're a woman and this guy is already married. But they always tell you the truth. And they say, well, I didn't think that relationship was going to work out with you. And it really wasn't because of that person, it's because of you. Because I just don't think you're going to sync with that because this reason, that reason. I think we've all encountered that. And you got to find those people in business that have seen you work and have worked with you that you can say, hey, do you think I'd be a fit for doing this? And people say, why are you thinking about that? And you say, well, they're going to, usually people say, well, this will be the title and they're going to pay me a little more. And so we're all interested in earning a little more. It's a better opportunity. I'm going to earn a little more. I get a bonus in the deal. Then you have a friend looking at you going, I don't know if you should do that. Why? Are they going to cash your paycheck? No. So what is money in their discussion of the answer? 0. They're like, Tom, I don't know. Gosh. They're not thinking about it. They have no emotional connection to the money. They have no thought about the money. And they say, Tom, I don't know. I don't know if that really seems like you. Why are you thinking about that? Well, like I said, it's a better opportunity to make a little money. No. Besides that, what do you think about the job? And sometimes they even go whoosh, go right past the money part of it. And they start talking to you about the job. Well, do you know this guy? Do you know this company? How'd you get referred to them? Did you just apply? You know what I'm saying? Those people in your life. And then you sit there and you go, gosh, I don't know. You may want to think about that one. And they do that to you with your job. They do that to you with your relationships. You know what you do with those people? You collect them like gold. And you never let those friends get away, because those are the friends you turn to. You know, you can talk to any friend about anything, but you probably have 3 or 4 friends say, hey, I'd love to get together and, you know, if you have time for lunch on Friday, because I know you got to get home and I know you got the kids and everything, but I really got a serious question when I asked you about a decision I'm trying to make, and you know me pretty well. And shut up and let them tell you, because you know they know you.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
these
of course.
People? And it's the same thing when it's
They'll
time,
give you the truth whether you like it or not, tell you what you don't necessarily want to hear, but you need to hear.
And they're not emotionally tied to your money or your relationship, are they? No, they're just giving you straight scoop for you. And those people are incredibly valuable. So when you're discovering where you fit in an organization, you're discovering this whole tension between entrepreneur, do I step out, intrapreneur, do I creatively work for somebody else? You need to have a collection of people in your life who are not going to cash your paycheck, and they're not going to date your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whomever. And so they're going to give you just the straight answer because they've got no skin in the game except they love you.
Respect. Love that answer. So we're here with the Biz Doc. We're flowing. How you doing back there? You okay? You got more chips? The answer is yes.
You have salsa? If you got chips and salsa.
You got chips and salsa? What do you got there?
We need that.
Okay, so
we got the beer.
drinking beer. We're having a great time. There's more beer down there if you need. Here's my next question for you.
Okay, you asked the question. I'm going to go to
My man, he's reaching
I'm
into
calling
the
for the
cooler.
left hand. I'm calling for the right-hander.
Another brewski.
Relief
This
pitcher.
is raising capital for dummies. Not, and I don't mean literally for dummies, but simplified, raising capital. I know there's seed rounds and there's, family, friends round, and there's the A and the B and the C. Just real quick, someone who's looking to start a business to raise capital, give me your quick response to the best ways to raise capital and the methodology within that. This is impressive. Never seen anything like this. I'm gonna have a cookie.
Have a cookie. Okay. First of all, the first source of funding for any business is you. That is my feeling. Some people feel differently. They say go out and raise money from friends and family. No. I firmly believe that first pint of blood needs to come out of your arm. Because you'll respect everybody else's blood that much more. And so whether it's 10 grand and you say, hey, Adam, you're in real estate. Look, I've managed to save about $10,000, but I want to do my first rental property. I found a little townhouse. There's townhouses that are rented there, good area, parking, all these things, and I can show you school districts and everything about it. But I think it's pretty good. But I've only got 10, the down is 50, and I know that would mean that I'm only 20% of it, but I'm looking for someone to come in with me because I believe in this part of the city and I think it needs rental housing, and I could also make a buck that way. And I've got enough salary, I think I can cover, the loan and stuff because I rent myself, but that's what I'm thinking. When someone comes to you like that, and forget, I use real estate because it's your example, and they've got some of their own money there, it's so much easier to say, you know what, maybe I will put 50 into you. I want to believe in the market, I want to believe in the people you got alongside you. It's not your 3 friends from college, it's 3 people you know that you think are really, really good to do this, specifically this, That's a drinking buddy. Are you opening a bar? No. Well, then he's out. So you need one guy to be at the bar, like Cheers, so that people come in, find a drunk guy.
Good old Norm?
Yeah, you need a Norm at the bar so people will come in and see a drunk guy and say, oh, it's a pretty happening bar. There's a drunk guy. Okay, then he's on the team. But you get the point. But I believe for raising money, the first rule is, for me, is that first pint of blood's got to come out of your arm because you'll respect the blood, sweat, and tears that went into everybody else and your friends and family, your Uncle Louie, your mom, whoever it is, your friends that are putting that money up to assemble that first $100,000, whether it's a rental property or you're opening a swimsuit shop and beach sundries down on Miami Beach under the bridge. Doesn't matter. I want to see some of your money first. And so for raising money, number 1, tell people you've got skin in game. Number 2, tell people you have a well thought out plan. You're not just trying to not have a boss anymore. Number 3, show them how you're thinking a couple steps down with, a real business plan. I put money in, this is what I'm going to do with your money, and here's the plan that I've got here. And you know what? That's how every entrepreneur has to start. Step 2, every city in America except little tiny small towns, probably has an accelerator or an incubator. Go knock on the doors and say, hey, this is what I'm building. I got this much from these people. I've got skin in the game. This is my plan. How can I get, accepted to your incubator or accelerator to be put in contact with the next level of small investors? How do I do that? And that is the walk over hot coals that every entrepreneur makes. And I'm going to completely skip that you're at Harvard and your dad had connections and you got $8 million of seed money and one of your dad's friends was a hedge fund guy working on his 3rd divorce. No, that is not the average entrepreneur in Main Street America. This is. And that is my best advice for people.
Put skin in the game, then you go to Norm at the bar, then you kind of go to the next level and there's incubators within your city.
You have your own skin in the game. Okay. You have a plan, and you tell your friends and family, this is how much I need.
So just so I'm clear, it starts with yourself. Then you go to friends and family. Then you might go to an incubator in the city.
Correct.
And then what's the next process after that?
If you're successful past that,
Yep.
the incubator people are going to point you to the next level investors. You should talk to him, or they become your promoters.
Yeah.
Hey, Adam. Yes, Tom. How's it going? Going great. I want to tell you about this guy Mario. What's up with Mario? Mario put about 20 in, and he get this business, did this. He had about, I think, about 100 from friends and family, something like that. So he's got about 120 early stage. He got it going. Impressive little business plan doing X, Y, Z. He spent the incubator, and I put in another 10 when he was in the incubator. But I think you could get in on this thing. They then become your promoters. Get it? Because now they see, hey, this is going to be a success. I want to help the guy get up. I'm going to put in a little more, maybe not 100 grand, maybe 10, maybe 20. And then I'm going to go out to you, people I know. So these people become your promoters. Hey, I think there's an opportunity to get in on this thing. This little business is doing really well. You should check it out.
And if I know anything about our friend Mario, that business is going to boom.
I think so. Mario's a guy with a plan.
Mario's
and
a guy
lot
with
of
a
personal
plan.
disciplines and a lot of focus and everything. Absolutely.
Let's talk more about plans. You're killing on the segues. This is great. Let's talk about companies and sectors that
What's
are
a
on.
segue? Is that little
Segue.
Is that thing with the wheels that you ride through the mall?
That's
That's
Paul
a segue.
Blart. Exactly. That's Paul Blart, the mall cop. That thing didn't work out. This is, moving on to the next topic. Having a plan. What companies do you think planned and did well during the pandemic, aka companies that are on the rise, companies that weathered the storm, and companies on the other side that, man, they really kind of shit the bed. They're on the decline. Companies, I said that. I went there. Companies and sectors that are on the rise versus the decline. What you got?
Well, I think it goes without saying that 4 minutes after the lockdown started, because what was the lockdown? Let's think back.
March 15th,
I got
2020.
But I'm remembering, when did the average Joe in America know that this just happened to me?
I believe I have an answer for you.
What do you think it was?
For me, it was when Mark Cuban got that text.
Exactly what I was talking about.
And the NBA was going to shut down. They're going to shut down the NBA. What?
He gets a text at
Yes.
halftime.
Boom.
We're going to play the game out, but then player number 7 needs to not be with the team. He needs to go out
Yes.
here. We got to get him to a
That's
hospital.
when us
Remember,
in America knew, like, holy
and
crap,
it wasn't
they're
a
stopping NBA games? Yes.
It wasn't quarantine. It was like, we need to get him to a hospital.
Oh, wow.
We need to get him checked out, because he's tested positive. Oh, my gosh, we got to do these
Then
things.
you had Rudy Gobert touching all the mics, being a new, not such a smart move right there. But go on. Where are you going with this?
So at that moment, and by the way, remember the following day? I think it was the following day. What did the NHL do?
They shut it all. Everything came to a screeching halt after that.
Yeah. So that was the 72 hours where the fuse was lit, and this thing went off in people's head. This is real. We're going home. We're not watching sports. We're not doing this. Oh crap! At that moment. And I know the really, really great guy. You were teasing me about the Disney guy, Michael Paul. Well, now I'm going to drop another one on you. And this is Patrick Egan, who is at Qualcomm Ventures, one of the earliest Series A investors in Zoom.
Okay.
Qualcomm turned millions into billions on Zoom.
Okay.
Not a good work if you can get it. And,
I agree.
5 minutes after all that madness, I think everybody who was paying attention knew that if you were in airlines, if you're in hospitality, if you're in restaurants, that you were about to have a really, really shitty summer.
Yeah.
I think everybody knew it. Wow.
Leisure, hospitality,
Exactly,
travel,
right?
tourism.
But it was 4 minutes after that where I think people realized, because remember, then people got sent home. Not only the NBA players went home, the rest of us went home.
Right.
Right? When the NBA players couldn't work from home, right? They were just
That's true.
They could just hang out from home.
Right.
But the rest of us started working from home, and we saw the power of Zoom. We saw what went on, and so Zoom, I think, is a great example of a company that made it. But it wasn't without challenges. What was the first thing that they experienced? Too much.
Probably, too many people logging into Zoom, right? Okay.
Right. And then the second thing, remember we heard about schools that had terrible phrases that started showing up there, racist statements that were typed into chat boxes because the security on Zoom had a little hole in it. And what did Zoom do? They fixed it. And they made even more bandwidth, and they made this work for everybody. And so I think the companies that made it was like, you know, Zoom, and then somewhere Jeff Bezos, you know, in his bright red Satan's cape, was like, this has brought on the death of retail, and I won't get blamed for it. The final stake has been put into the heart of retailers
retail
everywhere,
was trending in the
except Whole Foods, which I bought. You know, but everybody else, you're dead. You know.
Yeah.
And so Jeff Bezos with his new book. Hi, I'm Jeff Bezos. This is my new book. From Amazon to your ass is gone. If I'm in your industry, you're dead. And I think everybody understood that what was going on was Amazon couldn't deliver fast enough. And so Amazon did well, Zoom did well. I saw that with everybody else. But then I saw something else happening. I saw communities and I saw restaurants in Dallas doing something that was really interesting that gave me hope. And this is kind of a sidebar to your question, but it really was emotional and impactful for me. I saw people that refused to give up on their favorite restaurants. And those restaurants had hostesses and serving staff and bartenders that they couldn't keep on payroll. And most of them are really tied to tips anyway. But they tried to keep that restaurant open, and they were doing this thing where you could pick up at the curb. And they say, hey, just call us and pick up at the curb. And I don't mean DoorDash. That was going on. DoorDash did well also. But and Postmates and all the ones that are in Uber Eats.
Grubhub and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to just hold up one above the other because they're very regionalized. If you look at the map for Uber Eats, you look at the map for Postmates, you look at the map for DoorDash, you look at the map for Grubhub, there's concentration. So they were all doing their part. But there is a thing in Dallas, like support your local restaurant. And I thought it was amazing where we refused to give up on our favorite restaurants and just say, I'm going to order once a week through my favorite restaurant, and I'm going to go up to the curb. 87, you know, okay, and they run out with number 87. They don't want to touch you, and they go up, grab it. Remember the first days of pandemic, everybody was so nervous. They're coming out in a hazmat suit carrying a bag.
Of course, we didn't know what the hell was going on.
Exactly, we didn't know, but they were there. And and those were the ones, so those were entrepreneurs that said, damn it, I'm going to find a way to keep serving my community. And restaurants that stayed open, restaurants that not stayed open like in the dining room, because in many states like California, you know, dining rooms were very quickly closed and you had no choice but to obey the law. And so I saw those restaurants. And so what I saw during the pandemic was what's your word?
Stick-to-itness?
Stick-to-itiveness. And that inspired me. And what also inspired me is people that said, I don't want to let a small business in my community die. I love that restaurant. I want it to be here when this is over. And we didn't know when it was going to be over. But I want that place to be here when this is over. So I'm going to support it. Honey, what are we eating? We're eating this. Okay. Well, then I'm going to go out to, you know, Kenny's, you know, Woodfire Grill. Or I'm going to go out to my, you know, my favorite restaurant. And I'm going to order from them. And I'm going to Gloria's in Dallas. And I'm going to pick it up at the curb and do what I can to support them, even though I know that there's a lot of wait staff and bartenders and hostesses that are out of work. But at the core of that, they're going to come back to work when the dining room opens again. But I just didn't want the business that they were working for to die.
So do you think there's going to be business, and now we're kind of getting on the other side of this pandemic. I think that's, people are getting vaccinated. It's pretty clear we're getting back to business. GDP is expected to be...
And it looks like we're going to get vaccinated every year because it's acting just like the flu virus.
Potentially, yes.
Pfizer said so today. They said, look, you may need to get a booster shot every 9 months, 10 months. Really? So it sounds a lot like my flu shot.
Sounds exactly like the flu shot.
Praise God that now we have a vaccine so that we don't get super sick. And if now part of where we are in life is, guess what? You know, well, who knows what the truth is, because there's a lot of billions of dollars in those vaccines, and we could talk about that, which I don't want to.
But my question, I totally agree with you. My question is, all right, cool, let's say we're getting past this, we have the vaccine. Has this led to the death of any industry and or sector? Meaning, there's no recovering from this. Like, you give retail as an example. Is retail ever going to be back to what it was? Is the American mall ever going to be what it was? Is there anything that you said, look, I've been the Biz Doc for, you know, X amount of years, I know what I'm
know.
talking about. This industry ain't gonna make it. Anything?
I think the malls in America were kind of about to be put in hospice care in the first place. I mean, when's the last time? I mean, I have 2 daughters that when it's time for back to school and stuff, they like to shop like any daughters. Daddy had like these sneakers, had like that, normal stuff, you know, nothing, you know, my kids know that I'm not going to buy them Gucci sneakers. So, but they still have the style that they'd like to have, you know, and things like that. Oh, this is new thing. It's called Chucks from Converse. Chucks? I wore those 40 years ago.
That's in the 80s, baby.
Exactly. But nonetheless, you know,
Chuck Taylors.
I don't go through the mall with my kids, you know, and I think malls in America are on hospice, and I think this was the death nail, and I don't think they're coming back. Now, maybe they come back in a small way, but I think it's going to be really, really rough.
Well, you think Amazon is now looking for these anchor stores, the JCPenney's, the Sears, the Macy's, a lot of which are, you know, the Kohl's, whatever it is. And now Amazon's talking about setting up fulfillment centers in these malls. What do you think about that?
Here's what I think about that. You've been to a Whole Foods and you've seen the lockers right behind.
Yes.
Do you remember where the dog food used to be? You go to a grocery store 10 years ago and these enormous bags of dog food. You know what I'm talking about? They were behind the cash register. And then you would say, and I want one of those right there, this brand of dog food, the 25-pound. And they would go and scan it for you. And then you pick this enormous thing up and put it on top of your cart and it hung over the sides. Remember those days?
You know what he's talking about. Come on, Austin.
Yeah, well, because you didn't put that on your cart. You needed a second cart if you're going to go through the store. You always put them there. There was charcoal there. There was, you know, all those things. So you got that. And so right now, you don't have that at Whole Foods. You have lockers that are Amazon lockers, and people are walking in, not even buying something at Whole Foods, going to number 16.
Yep.
Boop, boop, boop. There's my phone. Click. It opens because it knows you're there. And you grab a bag out of there that's got whatever it is you ordered. Razor blades, right? Batteries, whatever it was. But Amazon has now put it in the locker, and there you have it. Well, what happens when you start buying bigger stuff from Amazon? You need bigger spaces and bigger lockers and bigger pickup. And so now, and they want it to be fast and convenient because Amazon, from Prime to everything else, they agonize over fast and convenient. You may not like what they've done to certain industries, but you cannot argue that they have made getting stuff quick.
Yep.
They've made it quick. To the point where, a sidebar for this is really, really funny. I have a friend that owns 2 brownstones in New York. And they each have 4 units, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, your classic thing with the skinny stairway right up the middle. You know what I'm talking about?
Of course.
Really nice apartments. What's in the lobby on the wall? 4 little bronze
little mailroom.
mailboxes.
Mailboxes.
And now stacks of Amazon boxes that they don't know what to do
They
with.
can't fit in the damn mailbox, of course.
And they don't fit in the little lobby area. And the fire department says, hey, you can't stack all this crap here. So it's kind of funny. So it's gotten to the point, well, I don't shop anymore, so, you know, I have Amazon deliver it. So I think Amazon's done great. Obviously, Zoom has done great. I think malls are dead, and I hope the favorite restaurants are operated by mom and pop, that mom and pop find a way back in towns where we can come back and support them.
Gloria's in Dallas, great spot.
Have you had, you ate
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know.
At Beltline?
Biz Doc, yeah.
Beltline by the toll line?
Shout out to my friends in Addison on Beltline. I lived there for 6 months.
Oh, so you're not making this up? You've been
I'm
there?
not. Gloria's, yes.
Oh.
Right in the mall where all the other stuff was. Yeah, of course.
Mole, it's like, it's in the outdoor area where neighborhood services buy. You know whose favorite restaurant?
The Yard House, Patrick Bet David. Is that where you're going with that?
No, Yard House is 20% market share. 80% market share was neighborhood services where you could get the oysters.
Oh, okay. Never been there. Let's talk IPO. You recently did an episode called Metro Mile IPO versus SPAC. So
it's in the news. I thought people would want to know the difference.
You know, Coinbase just did a direct listing. So what I want you to do to our friends out there is, because there's so much, I never even heard of a SPAC until maybe less than a year ago, right? Never even heard of it. You got this guy, Chamath Palihapitiya. He's sort of the SPAC king. So just, you know, for us rookies out there that don't even know what the hell an IPO is versus a SPAC versus a direct listing, what does it mean and why should they care about the difference?
Okay, everybody knows the stock market. Everybody knows there's companies in the stock market. Amazon's at $9,000 today. All this crap. There's 2 ways to get the stock market. Initial public offering, IPO. and you work in one of the major banks, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, and they get it all set up, and they go out and talk to, investment houses, and your company will get put on the stock market. And there's a bunch of regulatory things you have to do, but we'll leave all that out. And that's how you go on the stock market. Initial public offering, because you weren't public on the stock market before. Now you are, and this is known as the initial or first day that you have a public offering. Here's what a SPAC is. There are a bunch of shells out there that, and what I mean by a shell, a nearly dormant business, okay? And you could buy that shell, put your business in it, and then tomorrow morning change the name of what's on the stock market. And that's really all it is having someone else prepare all that public stuff, and then you show up, they effectively acquire your company, and then you change the ticker symbol, the name that trades, and you're on the stock market. SPACs are just a faster way to get to the stock market. However, in the middle of a faster way to get to the stock market, each SPAC only has 24 months, pretty much, from when they say, this empty thing is on the stock market, now we're going to go find a company to merge into it. They only have 24 months. And when they start to run out of time, the temptation is for them to go find a crappy little company to put it in and just so they could get it done. Otherwise, there's a big stack of money that they got to get back to a bunch of people, and they don't want to do it. So all a SPAC is another way to get to the stock market, but it's, people say, well, it's a poor man's IPO. There's a lot of problems with it. It's more risky. I think all that's true, but that's what it is. And to the average person with their own small business, they're not going to be able to do that.
So, and you explained IPO, you explained SPAC, I get it. Now, where does the direct listing come into this?
It's kind
and
of
then my follow-up to that is Coinbase just did a direct listing. Why did they do that? So direct listing, and then why did Coinbase do a direct listing?
I think a lot of times you're going to find companies that don't want to go through the scrutiny, that don't want to... Look, you have to do certain things. These 5 things you absolutely have to do if you're going to be on the stock market. It's law. It's the SEC trying to keep only qualified companies out there in some semblance of order. Not safety, because everything you invest in is a risk. Could go up, go down, but just order. And direct listing is one of the other ways that you can get out to the stock market. To the average person building a small business, they're never going to encounter this. But as an investor, I would just say, be really careful of companies on their first day. Unless Uncle Sam has printed you $50,000 and just gave it to you for free, like, you stayed at a casino for 3 nights and they gave you a $200 voucher to go gamble, knowing full well you're going to lose it. I would say just be very careful about what you invest in and look over it wisely. But the difference between IPO, direct listing, and SPAC, at the end of the day, a company is on the stock market.
At the end of the day, that's where they end up.
And at the end of the day, they have to conform with certain SEC guidelines so that they're following the rules. And then, let the buyer be aware of whether you like that stock, don't like that stock, and how well they do.
Okay. So, segue again from direct listing, Coinbase, seems like they're doing pretty well. That's a hot listing.
They've had a nice pop. Talk to me in a month.
Talk to you in a month. We'll see what's going. So this is my question now, is like the future of crypto. Coinbase, people are talking about it. Bitcoin, it's popping. I got Oscar showing Dogecoin, killing it right now. I know this isn't your expertise, but you're the Biz Doc. You know about all sorts of different topics. Talk about the future of crypto. Talk about Bitcoin. Talk about this Coinbase IPO. You got NFTs. I never even heard of an NFT. Now NFTs are popping. You got the blockchain. I know you're a fan of the blockchain. Then you got these altcoins. You got Dogecoin. Give us your perspective on crypto and where you see this going.
So crypto has one player, maybe 2 or 3 minor players, and then a bunch of wannabes. I don't know where they're going. Bitcoin obviously has established itself, and it has a tremendous valuation, and it's being traded on transactions.
Over $1 trillion market cap at this point.
Pretty freaking real. It's pretty amazing. And, you can buy, I think you can buy a Tesla with.
Yes, you can. Elon
Bitcoin.
Musk came out and said that.
You can do a lot of things. And so it's being recognized as a currency. Well, the fiat currencies, which is basically currencies issued by countries, like the US dollar, you know, I don't know how long all this is going to coexist. Maybe it coexists for a long time, but I don't know how long it's going to coexist. So on crypto, I think there's Bitcoin and all the rest. And then on trading it, I think there's Coinbase and all the rest. And I think what you're seeing now is because at the end of the day, it has to translate back to a dollar. I mean, the value of Bitcoin is stated in dollars. And so based on how many dollars the Bitcoin's worth, you can do this. You know, people will hate that I say this, but it'd be also like the corner Mazda dealership saying, I will take euros this afternoon for the car. Bring me euros and you can buy this little car. And you say, okay, great, I've got this many euros. But at the end of the day, they get translated back into dollars. So, you know, I don't think crypto is going away. Do I think governments are going to try to legislate it? Yes. But I don't think they can kill it. I honestly think the cat's out of the bag.
When you say legislate it, you're talking about regulation?
Yeah, heavy regulation.
Where do you see regulation happening with the crypto space? Give me best case and worst case scenario.
Best case scenario is the regulation is limited to the blockchain, ensuring that the backbone of crypto is not corrupted by criminals and average people are not stolen from, and that the blockchain and everything with it has integrity. I think that's good, sensible regulation. Regulation out of control, if they start protecting sovereign currencies against crypto.
Say that last part again.
They start protecting, the United States wants to protect the US dollar versus crypto, and they start regulating in other ways. May not be used for this, may not be used for that. And I think that's what people really fear is not the legislation, because there's an SEC for the stock market, Securities Exchange Commission. There's an FDA for drugs. Why wouldn't part of the FCC say, hey, we don't want, you know, evil people in some country to be figuring out a way to break into the blockchain and screw you over. We don't want our citizens screwed over in some terrible situation because they bought crypto and then it got stolen from them. We want to protect them. We don't want that, so we're going to do this. I think that's sensible. If they start stepping over and trying to protect themselves versus their own currency, protect their own currency, I think that would be out of bounds. They won't. Excuse me. The U.S. government won't think it's out of bounds. The U.S. Treasury would be like, we have to pay for battleships and parks and defense and all these other things to take care of our citizens. You know, we're going to protect the almighty dollar. Okay.
Makes sense. So we're about to get personal right now. When I say personal, I mean like literally personal, but also some personal finance. You cool with that?
We can do that?
We can do that. Okay. So
people should save that money.
I love the Biz Doc using the catchphrase, which they're going to circle back to that. So I'm going to tell a personal story, and then I'm going to tie it into your life, and then we're going to tie it into business. So
I'd love to hear it. You have a personal story?
Personal story, but you're going to see where I'm going with this, the Biz Doc. So my grandmother is the reason that I actually started understanding about money. She actually bought me, I think, 12 shares of Disney stock when I was a baby.
Wow.
Okay, so which has turned into X amount of $1,000 now at this point. You know, she bought it for a nickel back in, you know, whenever I was born, and now it's, you know, $200 now, whatever it is a share, whatever it is now, $150. So that's how, and my grandmother is basically how I kind of started understanding a little bit of money, save that money, okay, investing, what's a share, what's this, and that's sort of who I even talk to this day about finances, and shout out to my grandmother if she ever sees this. So that's that. So then, tying this in, that's my story with personal finance. Then I see, all right, this guy, the Biz Doc, he's doing stuff. He's doing case studies every week, and the last case study you did was?
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, okay. And then, not only did you do the case study, you had who come on and to be a special guest?
My daughter, Brooke, who I call Brooker.
Brooke, aka Brooker, came on and she did Disney Plus. So it's a family affair going on. My grandma, she brought me to Disney. We got the Biz Doc. He's bringing on Brooker. She's 10 years old.
Correct.
She's 10 years old. She's doing case studies. That girl's going somewhere, by the way. That was an amazing 2-minute segment that she did on Disney Plus. So you talked about OTT, over the top, Hulu, Netflix, all this stuff. You talked about cutting the cord, cable, DirecTV, and for people at home, you said something that I was like, oh, you might actually find yourself now only paying $80 for your internet and for what you kind of want versus maybe before you were paying $160, and now, and to quote you, my friend, you said this is the democratization of content and freedom of choice for the consumer, which I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
What's going on with that? So that's the personal stuff. Got into your daughter, got into Disney. What does that all mean? Unpack all that for me. And what does that mean for the people at home only paying $80 now potentially versus $160?
So you should be, first of all, I think people need to take a look, and this is probably something that you talk about, how much are you spending on personal entertainment, right? How much, and really ask yourself, in a day and age where with COVID and everything and working from home and maybe there's opportunities to learn new skills and to study for yourself, do you need the, Comcast, Pluto pack, of every channel known to mankind so you can just sit and watch all night? I don't think you do. And so I show my kids a very utilitarian look. I said, okay, we have DirecTV, we have 5 TVs. What you need to know is the reason we have the DirecTV is because the Biz Doc babe, my mom, so, hang on, let's edit that back. Okay, well, because you need to know as I talk to my kids about money and I talk about what we spend on entertainment. And so what you need to know is the reason we had DirecTV is because the Biz Doc babe, which is their mom, my wife.
Your wife.
Yeah. She loves the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
And so San Francisco 49ers, the NFL Sunday Ticket for many years was available only from DirecTV.
Okay, that's right.
And you would go into a bar, DirecTV, NFL Sunday Ticket available here. And they would pay the commercial license so they could have all those football games. And you come in with your friends and buy beer and food and all that. Well, that's what we had. And all of a sudden, there's this tipping point where NFL Sunday Ticket was available online. I'm like, wow, if you have enough bandwidth, remember we had DSL and all those things, wait a minute, now you can go to a cable modem and you can get speed good enough that you can actually get video at high def quality to my TV. And Over the Top was born. Fast enough to get it there so it looks really good. And thanks to Samsung and Best Buy, a 42-inch HD TV only cost you $400. So suddenly, you had a way to get pretty good stuff going. And so that was the thing that I instilled in my kids. So I said, wait a minute, if we pay this much for the bandwidth, so now we're paying AT&T just for fiber, no services. And okay, what do we want to put on that? Well, we've got Apple Music Family Pack. We just added everything up. And I said, okay. And we have Hulu with live TV, but there's no Showtime, no HBO. And we have Netflix, but then Netflix didn't have, remember Netflix lost all the Disney stuff because Disney said, haha, you're not going to get the Marvel or the Star Wars Lucas or this. It'll only be Disney Plus. Netflix, you're screwed. Well, Netflix is not screwed. They made a lot of other great content and have other movies there. But Disney Plus went nuts. And so we added it up as a family. I said, okay, then I'm willing to pay that. And I said, I'm not willing to pay this for DirecTV anymore, but I'm willing to pay that. We sat there with a piece of paper of my 2 daughters, and I said, okay, then I'm willing to pay that. And we made these checks and balances. And so that was also a teachable moment for my kids that money doesn't grow on trees, and let's be sensible about everything we do, even if it's this. And we did. We ended up saving money and got the things that we want and the basic bandwidth, so you come home, open your laptop, you can keep working and all that crap. And the things that I'm not going to say need because technically you don't need it. But
things that you really want.
Yeah, it's the things you want. And so, and we find more music on versus couch potato. And so I've got You know, I could show you on Spotify. I can show you our, you know, we have a playlist on there, classical music to study by, you know, and so they put on classical music and they study, and this was a teachable moment that you can trace right back to the Disney case study about, hey, you know, the democratization of content. We now have freedom of choice. Get the bandwidth to your house as cheap as you can, and then just pay for the things you want.
Respect. So even the Biz Doc is balling on a budget. You got that one? Balling on a budget. So,
Oh, absolutely.
correct. I agree.
But you know why? Because it's not a habit I keep. It's a habit I can't break. It's a habit I made over here, and the habit doesn't break. It's the way I'm wired.
It's hard to break good habits and bad habits.
That's correct. Takes 21 days to make a habit.
Okay. Is that scientific right there? What just happened?
Yeah,
Did we
think
just
so.
learn some science?
If you do something for 21 consecutive days, you are at the cusp of building in something that can be habitual.
Boom! That's a Boom Doc, a Biz Doc mic drop right there. 21 days. I just learned something. 21 days is the key to consistency right there.
Yeah,
if
Google
you can
it.
do 21 days, okay.
Google it. You'll find some very
You
interesting
go Google
things
that
in
at
there.
home, guys. All right. Are you ready to play a little word association?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about, Biz Doc. Okay, so I'm going to
Let's
set
play
you
games.
up. Let's play games. I'm going to set you up. We're wrapping up here. We probably got 10 minutes left in the interview with the Biz Doc. So we're going to go quick. We're going to rapid fire. We're going to do some word association. And we'll close up with some personal finance and some catchphrases.
Okay.
So word association, I'm going to set you up. So you were in that last interview, that famous last interview with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. There was in the famous, there was in the red chair. It was the last
Oh,
time.
yeah, the D conference.
The D conference is what it was called.
It was invitation only, put together by the Wall Street Journal. I don't know how I got an invitation.
Somehow
but
the Biz Doc, I know how the Biz Doc got invited. Yeah, we're time for a beer? What are you signaling me? All right, you want another beer? Okay. Our shooter Oscar said we need another beer. All right, so you got the invitation, one of 300 people in the entire world who was invited to see Steve Jobs and Bill Gates.
I didn't know that, and then I'm in there, and it's like 300 people. I'm like,
Okay,
wow,
so
how did
that-
my name get on this list?
So with that being said, let's start this word association with those two gentlemen. Steve Jobs, first thing that comes to mind.
Design.
Design. What about Bill Gates?
Platform.
Melinda Gates.
Charity. Their foundation, they're doing so much with their foundation. And I listened to her talk about women around the world and talk about that they said, hey, we've got so much money. What if we made a decision to wipe out a disease? What if we could wipe out malaria around the world? And I'm like, wow, you've just decided that you're going to wipe out a disease around the world. Thank you for not buying a bigger yacht.
That's awesome, right?
So I think of her, I think of charity, and I think of malaria.
And what also I think of when I think of the Gates.
And she went to the Ursuline School in Dallas, Texas, is where she went to high school.
Okay, a little fun fact. But also the billionaire pledge. You got to give the respect to what they're doing, the billionaire pledge.
And
They're pledging 99% of their money.
Yeah, that was Bill and Warren, but I'm sure Bill didn't come home and say, hey, honey, how was your day?
Right.
Pretty good. Yeah, I was talking to Warren. We gave away half of everything. Excuse me, Bill?
Exactly.
Meet me in the kitchen, damn it. You know, you're not,
Okay.
just
Well,
because
with
you're
that being
billionaires doesn't mean you're not still in the
With
kitchen
that being
getting
said,
yelled
first
at.
thing that comes to mind when I bring up Warren Buffett.
Value.
Value investing. How about your boy Jeff Bezos?
Brash.
Brash. Elon Musk.
Really brash.
More than Bezos. Gotcha.
No, I would say Elon. What really comes to me out there with Elon Musk, honestly, is just out there.
He's out there. Well,
Ahead.
you
It
know
would be
my
ahead.
opinion on what he's doing in his spare time.
Elon, ahead.
Okay. With his alien girlfriend. Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg, the 1 and 2 right there at Facebook.
Sheryl Sandberg, I'll do first. Disciplined. Operationally disciplined, also disciplined in her life. Terrible story what happened to her husband. Amazing disciplines. You read in the book, Lean In. Sheryl Sandberg, disciplined.
And Zuck?
Complex.
Complex. Mark Benioff, Salesforce.
There's only one word for him. Promoter. Promoter.
Promoter. That's 2 words almost. Promoter.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's
Larry Ellison. Just bought an $80 million property down here in South Florida. That's Oracle, is it not?
Yep. I would say visionary. He knew what he wanted to do for the
Okay.
databases, and he's visionary.
What about your boy Tim Cook from Apple?
Tim Cook says structure.
Okay. Jack Ma, the richest man in China. Maybe or maybe not.
Scared.
He's scared of the CCP.
Oh my gosh.
At this point, yeah, I agree with that.
No, I think so.
Reed Hastings from Netflix.
Clever.
We talked about Disney, so we can't not talk about Bob Iger.
Fortunate.
Fortunate. Like, mean he got lucky?
Yeah.
Just right place, right time?
He's a great corporate manager.
He got along really well with Steve Jobs.
Well, he's a great corporate manager. And beside that, I think he's a great corporate manager. And the third thing you can't leave out is he's a great corporate manager.
Well played. Okay. Last one on this list. Patrick Bet David.
Committed.
He ain't going nowhere, huh?
No, since the day I met him, committed.
Okay.
Your next 5 moves, remember where he's starting from, he's fully committed. And his next 5 moves is from that point of commitment. Committed.
He's the man. PBD. All right, give me one entrepreneur I have not named that you say you got to learn more about this person.
Well, it's interesting. You've researched me quite well because you've gone through my Hall of Fame. But there is a, you've really kind of gone through my Hall of Fame. But
anyone I left out that you want to give a shout out to? You said this person motivated me. This person was someone I looked up to. Anyone? If not, we can move on.
I don't know if it's looked up or motivated, but I got to meet him and spend a lot of time with him. It was Irwin Jacobs at Qualcomm.
Okay.
And then his son, Paul Jacobs. And Paul Jacobs was one of the reasons that Qualcomm made investment in Jamdat Mobile. But what Irwin Jacobs and what people don't even know about, it's called CDMA technology. Let me tell you, every frickin' phone on the planet, has DNA that goes all the way back to Irwin Jacobs and CDMA technology at Qualcomm, which is why Qualcomm became the massive multi-billion-dollar corporation that it is. And he had great vision for wireless, and CDMA was basically a way to encrypt battlefield wireless communication so that the enemy couldn't intercept, what you're doing. Hey, they're going to fire a missile right over here in 10 minutes. Move over here. No, it was battlefield communications, so you could safe and securely, make your plans, communicate them to your side, and win.
Respect.
But and the DNA of that goes all the way through some major lawsuits with people like Ericsson to today, the chips that are in your phone. So
you're an Apple guy or you're an Android guy?
I've been both, but I've been an Apple guy for probably 5 years.
Okay, well, Steve Jobs will be proud of you. So would Tim Cook.
Anyway, people have an opportunity. Go look up the Jacobs family.
Okay.
Irwin Jacobs and Paul Jacobs.
We'll put a link below in the
Qualcomm.
description. How about that?
Yeah, you want to know how the Biz Doc thinks? Go look at those guys.
I like that. Wrapping up, we got a couple minutes left before we get into the final question, but this is some personal finance stuff. Just your opinion, yes, this, left, right, whatever. I'm just going to ask you a couple things. You tell me which direction you would go. If you're investing or you're buying, real estate or the stock market, what's your pick?
First quarter 2021, I go to real estate.
Okay. Moving forward?
I'm probably back in equities, but I want to see the tax plan that's coming January of next year.
Okay.
Fair?
Fair enough. This is your answers. If you're going to put some money in something
because
now,
if corporate taxes are going to go way up to 28% or beyond, it's going to affect the price-earnings ratio, and so those prices on the market have to come down a little bit.
Look out for those PE ratios. Gold or crypto?
Bitcoin, if you're talking crypto.
Okay.
But I would probably be Bitcoin, even though this day, as we film this, it's what, 65, 66?
Yeah, a little under that, yeah.
Yeah, it's right around there.
Okay, so you're going with Bitcoin. For our young entrepreneurs out there, or maybe if you're starting a family, rent or buy? Do you have a opinion there?
Rent what you can afford in a place where you absolutely want to live. You're not anchored to it. You just have to get to the end of your lease, and it gives you flexibility.
Cool. I agree with you on that. Let me dap you up. Okay. College versus no college, taking on debt, student loan debt, no college, becoming an entrepreneur, going to a trade school. College, yes or no?
Okay. If you're planning on designing nuclear warheads, I'd like you to go to college. and not do that as a startup in your garage, particularly if you're in the great state of Texas. Now, what I'm getting to here is, if you want to be a neurosurgeon, you want to be a physician, you want to be all this, college is the place you got to go. If you're not sure what you want to do and you want to get a communications degree and then get your MBA, maybe that's valid. But if you have really no clue, then maybe take a gap year and think about it. If you really have no clue.
You got 10 grand in your pocket right now. You got 10 grand. Young people out there, where are you putting that money? Where are you investing that money? Best place to allocate that 10 G's today. 10
G's? I go down to Miami and I get some best Peruvian flake I can get. I cut it with baby laxative. I turn it into 80 grams before the end of the weekend.
That's the most random response I've ever heard to that. But that's what you're doing with your 10K? You're going down to Miami?
But people in Miami will go, I did that. No, 10 grand, what would I do
That's
today?
the Scarface mentality right there.
Yeah. First you get the girl. Then you
get the power. Then you get the money. Then you get the respect.
Yep.
That's the locks. Yep. Okay, 10K, so, where are you putting it for the best investment?
Let me introduce you to my little friend. 10K, where do I invest it? Today? Set it and forget it?
Yep.
Probably Amazon.
Really? Amazon, that's where you're putting it right now, today. Just buy Amazon stock. Can't lose. Okay, wow, I'm going to consider that. All right, last question with the Biz Doc. We're having fun. Cheers before we end this thing right here.
Salute!
Salud, l'chaim, to all our friends out there. So the last question is about catchphrases. You have, I believe, one, if not two catchphrases. Your number one catchphrase is
damn.
Damn. Have you ever seen the Biz Doc do his case studies? Damn. And every time I watch a case study, I say, damn, I did not know that.
Damn is the culmination of,
damn.
That's right. It's something I didn't know, and I tell people something you didn't know about this company, and when you get to that, you go, damn, I didn't know that.
Didn't know that. So I love that damn, and I catch myself saying it all the time. So shout out to the damn people watching this today. We also have another catchphrase, and what is that?
See, the damn is my logical mind, but my second catchphrase is just my heart.
Yes. What's that?
I truly hope I leave you better than I found you.
That's awesome. So
at the end of all my case studies, I say, I'm Tom Ellsworth, the Biz Doc, and I hope I left you better than I found you. And I mean that from my heart.
That's awesome.
You know, people helped me. People gave me time for free. People did things and took a risk on me, and I'm just doing it for other people.
I love that. So I love your catchphrases. And I definitely catch myself saying damn more often that, you know, we're doing stuff together. I too have a catchphrase that I kind of learned after doing all my money stuff, and that is save that money. So my question to you is, we've gone through this whole episode. We've talked about personal finance. We talked about entrepreneurship. We've talked about starting a business. We're talking about, you know, your heart, your mind, your soul, everything. We've covered a lot of topics. We're having beer, we're having fun. For the young people out there, why is it important to save that money?
Because if you don't know what you're going to do, or you don't know where you're going to spend it on more tangible things, don't just blow it on fashion and experience right now. Don't walk along in rags, but save every penny until you know something really significant you're going to do with it. Whether it's start a business, or you're going to buy a house, or you do something. Pull back on entertainment and, you know, consumption and things like this. And don't walk around in rags. Have a nice time in life, but be sensible and don't just party your butt off till you have to wait for your next paycheck. Wait till you have something tangible. Maybe it's that first investment in real estate. Maybe it's in a company, or maybe you're saving it because you still don't know and it's been 5 years. Save that money until you know something really cool that you're going to do with it, because you can have a lot of fun, look fine without the Rolex and without Gucci, and have great time with your friends and family, and not be deprived of any of the entertainment and casual time you want to spend with people that you love, that love you, and save it for something really big and tangible you want to do. So until you know, save that money.
I love it. Damn, that's a great response. Well, thank you, Biz Doc.
Oh, you didn't set that up. That's the way I feel.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you certainly left us better than you found us. So mad respect to you, Biz Doc, here on Valuetainment.
Mad props and respect to you, Adam.
Thank you.
He's got a whole series here. Go check him out.
Thanks for watching this episode with the Biz Doc. If you like what we're talking about, check out this episode right here with economist Danielle DiMartino Booth, where we talk about personal finance and macroeconomics. Thanks for watching, and as always, save that money.
All we talk is money. All we talk is money. All we talk is money. All we talk is